Sheriff, why do you presume dead at this point versus maybe being taken?
And I'll let Tom answer that.
There's some details that we don't want to get into at this point because of the investigation that's ongoing, but we do feel that it's fairly safe to assume that he did not leave that campground of his own volition.
Is there a person of interest or a suspect, someone that you believe may have done this?
We are working on some people. We choose not to disclose that at this point.
Has anybody been ruled in or out as a suspect?
We're looking at all options. We continue to get calls about possible sightings of activity that would lead us to believe that he might be in a certain area. We're tracking down all those leads, but no, we haven't ruled anybody in or out at this point.
Including family members, sir?
Correct.
I know there were some polygraph tests taken. Are you releasing the results of those?
We don't have the results of those. Those results have to be peer reviewed, and we don't have the definitive results on those polygraphs.
Sir, I'm sorry. Any way you can move over in front of the? Thank you so much. And why search the landfill?
Investigations of this type, when we received the call that we had a missing 2-year-old, there are you want to front load those investigations. You want to cover all your bases. We decided to do that. We called in additional resources. We called in the FBI. We received agents from Flagstaff, Phoenix. We received their Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team with representatives from Boston, Philadelphia, New Jersey, San Francisco, and Phoenix. They also sent us two behavior analysts from BAU. In conjunction with all of that, all the discussion that we had with them, we decided that it was the best thing to do to cover all of our bases, and in the event that someone had discarded Sylar's remains into a dumpster, we wanted to cover that base. So we did. We contacted Waste Management. They worked with us. They sequestered all of the garbage from the area that we identified into one area so that we didn't have to excavate that, and that went much quicker. We were able to, with the assistance of 10 of our own people and 10 of the FBI's people, we were able to conclude that search of 205 tons in 2 days.
Do you think that can you tell us, do you think he died then around the campsite?
We're not ready to comment on that yet.
Does the public need to be concerned that there's someone out there who's hurting kids around campsites, or do you think he knew the person?
We haven't discounted anything at this point.
Can you give us an idea what maybe led to this turning point between missing child to a murdered child? Whether it was evidence or interviews or just kind of something generic?
We don't want to get into the specifics of the investigation at this point, but we do feel that this is an avenue that needs to be explored.
When you were doing the search, were you searching for a live child or were you searching for the remains of a child?
If I may, during the search expanded. At the first sign of the missing child on Sunday, we looked at those statistics that the sheriff was speaking about on how far a 2-year-old could travel, what's the behavior of a 2-year-old child. The child usually will seek shelter, will start to become uncomfortable, and will go around in circles. So initially, we were absolutely looking for a live child. That continued up until hour 96, because statistics say we have 3 documented cases nationally that a 2-year-old child has survived 96 hours after going missing. So that was midnight on Thursday morning. So that was our goal. At that point in time, we also, with some leads that we were getting from investigations, we started to expand the search area out. And so very quickly, we became very comfortable with the segments that we make and teams we send into those areas. We have cleared some of those areas with a 97% success rate, with a probability of detection, to where if he was in that area, we would have found him. So we start to eliminate areas, and we continue to expand out. As of Saturday, the resources we used were 380 searchers that we 4,109 man-hours we used as of Saturday. We're now in day 9 of that search. I have ground crews, dog crews, and air crews out there right now as we speak. So we're not going to stop looking for Sylar at all, but it comes to a point where we have to ask ourselves, is this child in our search area? And we are quite confident that we are able to say that Sylar is not within our search area. Doesn't mean that we're not going to continue to expand out as we receive new clues and go and answer those clues and search those new areas. But that's what leads us to believe. We had 10 bloodhounds, DOC bloodhounds that track felons away from prison. Those bloodhounds did not want to leave the campground. We forced them to leave and then searched a radius around that campground just to force them to look for track outside that campground. And they still wanted to go back to the campground, to the campsite area. That's just one team we used. We used all sorts of specialty teams with scuba, swift water. We dropped cameras down wells. We used side sonar to search water pools. So there's anything that we could have done in that area has been searched. The only thing that would limited our search was the terrain itself, which would have limited Sylar from getting up to some points. So the question comes that you asked Lieutenant Bolts is, how did we go from looking for a live child to a recovery mode or the criminal investigation? It's a compilation of both the intel that we get from their group, as well as the fact that when we're in that area, there's no way we would have missed them. We were literally lined up, arm's length apart in areas, and the maps that you get that we gave to you are GPS tracking of some of those teams. That doesn't even represent all the area that we have. So each one of those lines on your map is one team of 15 people lined up arm's length apart, looking for evidence and looking for clues. We would not have missed him.
Okay, now you said the bloodhounds wanted to come back to the campground. Did they always return to the campground that his family was at, or did they go to other campers' sites that were in there?
That's a good question. The bloodhounds are given what we call scent articles, and with Sylar we had his sandals, which were the best scent article that the bloodhounds could have used besides a soiled diaper. So each bloodhound had its own scent article, and as they went off, they would find a positive track, and they would go off and search areas. And what those areas were called is scent pools, such as when the family took him to a swimming hole in the area, he would go down there and play. Those dogs would track and find that area of play, and you'd see signs of that. But then they would just go right back to the campsite itself. They did not want to go out any further.
And was Sylar, was he unable to speak or hear, or did he have any kind of handicaps at all that you know of?
Not that I have been told.
We're not aware of any. We have asked that question to family members and to other campers. They do say that he was verbal the entire time, from the time he arrived Friday afternoon or evening until about 9 o'clock that night. People did hear him.
Sergeant, with the bloodhounds, they were tracking the scent. Would that have also turned up any remains or the body? Are you confident that there is no body in the search radius?
We are confident that there is not a body within that search area. The bloodhounds themselves, if we did have a remain, if Sylar would have passed away sometime even during the first night, his body would have given off a decomposition odor, and those dogs would have alerted on that as well. But besides the bloodhounds, we also had 6 other dogs that are air scent dogs and cadaver dog trained, and they would have been put out in those areas, and they would have come up with something as well. And we've grid searched, like I spoke to you about, 8.5 square miles. So, and that does not even include the 31 linear miles that we have done on the sides of the roads.
You're confident he was in the campground at one time?
We are confident that he was in the campground at one time, also based off of the bloodhound activity. They would leave the campground. That scent off that shoe led us to believe that he was in the campground. He would go to the bathroom, he would go to the swimming holes, he would go down to the creek, and then he would return to the campsite itself.
Do you believe he was killed?
We're investigating that possibility.
So you're not quite calling, you're saying a criminal investigation, but not homicide?
Correct.